Hello everybody.
Hi.
We are back. And just when you don't expect us, we are back. I think we gave you enough time to also explore our other podcasts because we made quite a few. And it's so nice that a few of you, along the our tour always said, they listen always to the podcast, they revisit them, which is quite a great testimony. So we're continuing with it. And today, I think we want to pick up on a few things that happen right now. I think you all, with social media and access, you must have heard that there was this hearing in Congress about the UFOs with somebody very specific, very involved, giving testimony to it. And I think this is such a Plutonic effect. I talked about Pluto coming into Aquarius and breaking grounds, and I think this is going to be one of the areas where we're going to see a lot of breakthroughs, is the breakthrough of information. And basically what everybody said already and was declared crazy over the last 60 years, 70 years, now there is substantial evidence. I think it's very difficult in this time and age to repress information for long enough. And therefore Pluto is doing its thing, and it's breaking out, it's bringing forth, it's manifesting what was always there, but now it's in the consciousness of millions of people.
And that's starting in January, especially for 20 years.
Right,
January, February.
When Pluto enters Aquarius and then stays there for 20 years, and I think then it's just one 20-year journey of revelations, of breakthroughs, and of I think also that a lot of people will be, I don't know if this is the right English word, but justified in retrospect, because when people have other experiences and other worldly experiences and spiritual experiences, and throughout the centuries we see what happened to these people, from inquisitions to mental illnesses and hospitals, right, and labeling, and suddenly we see that they were not all that wrong. We saw now Sinead O'Connor passed away, and doesn't matter what you think about her, but the one thing that people now realize is that she was all along right about
the Catholic Church,
and what came in retrospect
with sexual abuse.
Exactly, and she was her time ahead of the time, but we see how she was treated, and now of course, when somebody dies, everybody comes out and says what a wonderful work she did, but the fact is that she really followed her passion. And then I wanted to take this this experience that we're losing these kind of people now, who followed their passion, even if their passion, we would say, killed their career to some degree. But passion is one of the most important things when we go also into vibrational trajectories.
Well, it's a revelatory passion, because in medicine you have people who invented things over the last 100 years, like the Rife microscope.
Right.
Like, I touched a Rife microscope. I didn't get to work with it, but I was around people who were working with it.
Yeah.
And they, many people were killed for that, for being able to heal others through a new kind of technology. And now that we say, starting in January, new technologies are coming, I think we have to honor all the other people who worked in vibrational medicine, who worked with frequencies before. I was in laboratories doing things to heal cancer cells, to put them to sleep and all that, and I could do that, and none of that ever came out in the general public. So I think what we're talking about here is many people, many pioneers have been doing this for a whole century, really bringing really new inventions, and even radiesthesia, radionics, and many things, vibrational healing on many levels, with new machines are coming. And if that's the next 20 years, then I want to honor all the people that died making that possible.
I think so too. That over the years to come, a lot of apologies are going to be in order, especially to these pioneers, who tried to shape the world, but the world was not ready to be shaped.
on a medical level, with UFO studies, with many things. Just to have transparency, right?
I think that there is a new generation who will and does look much more deeper into what was collected over the decades, and research is much, much smarter, much more interesting. It's quite fascinating, I have to say. These younger generations, they want answers, they want clarity, they really know how to dig at the right places at the right time, and they help and they contribute to the collective reality.
Well, like we always say, it's not right or wrong anymore, like the Christians talk about it, or like Islam talks about it, or any of that. We don't actually believe in right and wrong. What we do believe in is you do something too much or you do something too little.
Too little. Or with passion or no passion. That defines your vibration. We talk a lot about vibrational matching, and the idea is that passion is the key of vibrational expansion. You know, because in the end, positive things have in their nature, expand. You know, and you have to go with this expansion, but we get so used energetically to worry about the expansion. What could happen? Worst case scenarios. Do I have enough money? Am I young enough? Am I too old? Am I to this? Am I to that? And basically, by aligning with our passion, we block everything that comes with what we don't want. You know, and so we're playing this match with the universe, basically, which creates just cosmic confusion.
Well, if the universe gives you what you are,
the universe gives you what you are.
not what you want.
Not what you want, exactly.
And
See,
if you have to feel it, what you want.
the wanting has to become a passion. And passion is an activity. It's something that you do, that you act upon, you know. At some point you have to start it somewhere, so to speak. And when you feed the passion of that desire, the desire becomes a current state of being. Of course, in magic we don't use this term dimensional shifting, but that's actually what it is. Because in magic you see the magician in the circle of a magic circle invoking beings and calling beings, or necromancy is communicating with the dead. But the fact is there is no one dead. The dead live with us, just on a different vibration. And just because we don't see the vibration doesn't mean it doesn't exist, because we have so many evidence of animals who can perceive and see and smell and react to certain vibrations.
But when you cast a circle, you can cast a circle in such a way that you say, I want everything that is not alignment with my soul, with my higher purpose, whatever, to leave the circle. That includes any ancestors you have, any thought forms, any phantomic forms from the past, because one of the problems of humanity, of course, is that we're living out the phantom stories of our ancestors. What they fought, what they did, but it is a repeating story. And that's true for Native Americans, that's true for any indigenous people.
Yeah.
How long are we going to play out those kind of stories that no longer serve tribes, that no longer serve companies, or I mean that's a very early time, or nations or whatever. So we're at this point now where we're releasing the phantomic ancestors that we no longer need, the phantomic stories, because we're going into the fifth sun, the next era.
Yeah.
And we have a lot of kids here who also blame the two generations before them, all the generations before them, who say, you didn't clean up this earth, you didn't make the earth better. You know, you proliferated nuclear weapons. Now that we have Oppenheimer and all these films coming out where people are seeing, what have we done all
Right.
with knowledge. We take knowledge and we make bombs.
And it's very interesting that the main two movies of the summer is Barbie and the atom bomb. I mean,
one is about plasticity and how it becomes human.
Right.
How do we humanize this world that's now become so plastic?
Right.
How do we find ourselves again and a lineage and are adopted by the great mother, that when women have become, plastic dolls? How can they come alive and not live this 1950s regressive idea that was not real to begin with? That is like a fantasy that people have about the past.
I want to also mention, because when we talk about vibration, and this is really about the vibrations of state of minds, movies and art and music are a state of mind of what's going on. That's also the job of an artist, I think, to reinterpret the vibration that we're symbolically going through, because this is all symbolism. You see, I try out of this to explain to people that the past and the future are time frames, but also time frames do not exist. And whenever we make a circle around us, a circle of power, a circle of magic, a circle means literally there is no time. There is just a space that I am occupying. And so you can't, moving forward and moving backwards is a thing of impossibility. Everything is simultaneously and is defined by passion. So the one key is passion. Even Barbie has the passion to go to a gynecologist. Sorry for the spoilers if you haven't seen it, but you wonder, where is this thing going? I wasn't so crazy about it, but I watched it with you, and it was all about becoming an identity, a woman with a real genitalia, basically. So,
to find herself again.
To find herself again.
After being told what to be, after being told
how to act and how to behave.
And to live in a false world that's
But
not
also
true.
what you see is all the Barbies basically act in a certain pattern and inform each other of how to respond. And that's exactly what we do. We are children, we are little Barbies, and we're being informed by the societies and our parents and our information stream, what to believe and what not to believe, And so...
And you discover your body eventually. Discover actually who you are.
And the other
your
thing
mother's
is,
lineage.
and the other movie was Oppenheimer, which is what intelligence can do, and what is the purpose of breaking through energy, basically, and using energy only for one purpose, which is to, and I don't say this in a positive way, but to transform a place by the speed of light. Because what an atom bomb did or does is, where it hits, it speeds up the timeline, we would say. It speeds up the process of evolution. And if you look at Japan as a society, I've said it many times that I admire Japan and the Japanese culture and their evolution, is look how quick they evolved to such a, I have to say, refined, very strict and
hierarchical
exactly.
system.
They have their shadows too, don't get me wrong, but that's what you see there, is that these places where they were hit with 2 atom bombs, the effect of that atom bomb was that it opened a continuum, or it opened a possibility to speed up the process of the country, and they had an incredible evolution since then.
After
yes.
the insanity.
Absolutely.
Because there was insanity in a way on both sides.
Absolutely, yes, of course. You see,
with no boundaries.
Of course. And so also the idea is, in that time, the bomb could have gone into Germany, it could have gone into Russia, it could have hit anything, Cuba, I don't know. But it went into Japan, and so Japan had in its nature, if you want, a resonance for it. We say so often, nothing can happen without resonance, but you determine the resonance in your own life in a smaller scale.
Well, what was the resonance of Germany to create that kind of insanity as well?
I think for Germany it was, at some point, the self-destruction to end the ultimate decimation. In other words, either we stop ourselves at this point, or the landscape, the political landscape of Europe would have changed, and the world would have changed drastically. 60 years ago, 70, 80 years ago, everybody ran out of Germany. Now they're all running into Germany. So something changed.
Well, it went through a transformation. It went through an evolution.
Absolutely, absolutely. And we have it also in our constitution, in our law in Germany, that we will never be involved in a war again, period.
And these are the 2 Mars countries, Japan and Germany.
Absolutely. And this is, again, Mars that is forced through its own defeat, its own destruction, if you want, or an experience of destruction, to define a new passion, a new affectivity. Where are we good in? What should we do? How can we do? And so
And part of that is that Goethe wrote Faust, and the Germans kind of lived it out.
Lived it out. Yeah.
The whole myth of Faust.
Yeah.
And went through a transformation.
Mm-hmm.
Whether they realize it or not, they actually underwent something quite important
Yeah.
to the world.
Yeah.
There are many things we can talk about there, but America, USA, North America, is a Cancerian country.
Mm-hmm.
So it's actually not a Mars country.
No. No.
And the virtues of Cancerian is more about nurturing,
Nurturing,
well-being,
home, family.
home,
Yeah.
preserving it.
That's why we also see at the moment that the division that we have here is that basically it's really just to look for a pawn, is to blame minorities to distract from the larger image, which is, there is a huge division here, and by distraction, it makes the division less pronounced, but it is ultimately there.
We're not always going to be on the same page, and there's always going to be controversy.
We don't need to. We don't need to. As long as there's people on this planet, there's going to be conflict. It's just what it is. The question is how we deal with conflict. And I think this is where we're going into a much more refined version of communication. I always saw in my visions that one day the world will return to something of a Greek Senate again, where, we've seen this in the Ross School in the Hamptons, I think, many years ago, where students have a conflict, they don't just fight it out. They go into this auditorium, this round auditorium, like a Greek or Roman Senate, and they would discuss things out.
Wonderful school.
Fantastic concept. When I saw it the first time, I thought, I would go back to school immediately in that environment. Super creative. It was very inspiring to go there.
Now, the other day I had a flat tire, and I asked you, why did I have a flat tire? Because, the main idea was not to react.
Right.
Do you react negatively to a flat tire? It happened on a highway. I was going very fast, and then I noticed. And so I slowly had to find, a few miles of driving on the side of a road till I finally got to, a tire place, which just happened to be on the side of the road, because I wasn't reacting, because I wasn't saying, oh, this terrible conflict. I didn't get all emotional about it,
Right.
I basically just got over the side of the road, and I found a place that fixed my tire in an hour.
Yeah.
And I was back on the road.
Right.
So, and that was the right rear tire.
And that is
Which is
very
a
much the lesson of our time, is the way you react. That is the dimensional vibration that you're responding to. Because we're becoming, in the last couple of months, I was teaching dimensional healing, dimensional mind training, and I'm making a Vimeo about it because I just couldn't accommodate, more dates in this. So I'm making a Vimeo about it.
This is quantum.
This is quantum thinking, yes.
Yes. Very
And
different.
when we look at dimensional selves, dimensional selves really are a reaction of your emotion. Your emotion dictates who you are every day, every minute, every hour. You are not the same person. We see this, I think, with a good example is in medicine they call it multiple personality disorder. Yeah, and there are, I think, documented cases where a person can have 5 personalities. One personality is a drinker, and when they switch, suddenly they're very funny. And then they switch, and then they're very allergic to something that the other personality doesn't have. And these medical cases, from a medical point, that we call personality disorders, are shiftings, quick shiftings into the different personality aspects that are existing on a dimensional level. Okay, they happen a little bit almost out of control, out of balance, if you want. That's why we call them disorders in this case. But this is an evidence that is happening on this planet, that we have situations where from one day to the next, we hear people, they had an accident, suddenly they speak 5 languages. Suddenly they were in a coma, wake up, they had insight into something. Or the funny story was And it was going many years ago when I started with Jose Silva, and he loved to tell the story of somebody who had a organ transplant, and it was this nun who got some man's liver, I guess, or something, and she woke up and she wanted a beer and a cigarette, which again goes into the cell information, the spirit information. Every cell communicates with our system, but also this inter-system communication happens on a dimensional level. So you respond every day to something. In other words, even when you're shifting through your moods, and sometimes I call people very moody, it can be very happy, very angry, very, and this can happen quite quick. I don't call them emotional disorders, I call them dimensional disorders. It's shifting into different dimensional vibrations according to where your passion point is. And that is now the key. The lower we all have passions. The lower the passion, the more difficult the vibrational match. The higher the passion, the more direct the vibrational match. So somebody who's, as you said, if you're reacting on something passionate and on a goal with, it's so hard, it's so difficult, oh my God, oh my this, oh my that, or I finally got what I want, but it was so difficult. No one wants to hear a sad story, so keep it to yourself. And don't entertain the opposition of what you're trying to achieve.
Now, I always was very passionate in my life, but I always thought that I needed somebody else. Not to work with me, to work by my side, to always be by my side. Because I had in this life, I don't want to work alone. So that involved first a medicine woman from Wyoming. And over a long period of time, why she was my best friend definitely for 10 years of my life. And we trusted each other, everything. But when I met Christos, one of the first things he said to me was, she actually wanted the money. She actually saw you as a way to make money.
Yeah.
This medicine woman.
Conscious or not.
Conscious or not.
But that was the idea, of course.
And in the end, it did break up because of money.
Well, the thing is, that is a very good example. I think when people start to work together, I've seen this in our work for 20 years, in all shapes and forms. The moment two people, families, friends, best buddies, they come together and there is some money exchange or some success, it changes the vibrational dynamic of the motivation and the desire.
And then the next woman, one of the interesting things that comes up in a lot of sessions that we do is sometimes a woman wants to kill her husband. Sometimes she really wants revenge against him. She really wants him out of the way. And so I met a patron in the 1990s, a woman from a Greek shipping family, who said she was going to take care of, everything for me in a way. I give you centers to work in, I promote your work, blah, blah, blah. And one of the interesting things is she also somehow wanted to leave her husband. And I thought the whole time in my naivete, she just wants to leave her husband. But actually what I realized later is maybe she really wanted to get rid of her husband and she was trying to use me like I had the magic or something to kill him. Or I had some way to get her out of the bubble of her husband. And that's what she was really looking for. Instead of just coming into your power, whatever, I think she wanted to get rid of him. He was a tycoon. He was a very rich man. He had a lot of power. And she felt very trapped there. And I think she realized over the 7 years we were together, you're not going to kill my husband. You're not manipulative. You can't manipulate. I can't manipulate you to do something I want you to do. Or to break it or something.
This relationship that you told me about, definitely from the moment where it begins, the way it ends, is a huge dimensional shift because the passion of why things come together have shifted for whatever reason. And this is how you experienced it, so you know better than me. I don't want to comment on it. But this is what I say is that when the passion point shifts, which is always there, sometimes it's so low that we don't feel it, but it is always there. And then there is a swoop of motivation that ignites the passion again. You see, the key is to keep it up, but the most important part is not to go into resonance of good or bad, to go with the flow. Like you say, I went to do the relationships and I went out.
But
That
I
is-
always had passion in them, tremendous passion, which was a driving force.
Yeah.
Because I love spirit, I love people, I love life. I was really wanted to help and be very, in my chair doing it in my own power. And there, only recently did I have the revelation that maybe people tried to also manipulate me to get out of relationships, to get rid of people in their lives, like hoping I would do that.
Well, the thing is, when we talk so much about what makes a positive vibration stay, which is passion, what makes a negative vibration stay? And I wrote a few things down because I think that they fit in. I think that there is a point in negativity to have a grip in somebody's life and to manifest is I think you need a form of paranoia. I think that there is something that we haven't talked enough about, the paranoia mind. The assumption that my best friend, the person, is after me, is after something, is after, because, the relationship you ended with her ended almost like a divorce, basically.
Very much.
And it's like, it's just a friendship. You were roommates. And,
It ended very abruptly.
it ended very abruptly like a divorce, basically. So there's a level of paranoia.
But I could not be manipulated, really, ultimately.
Well, it's not really in your vibration. You see, you're too settled in your system.
No.
But the idea, you can't avoid it.
No.
But I think when you want to identify negative energy, you will find it in rejection. I think where passion is the positive attraction key, the anchor, I think that rejection is the negative holder. So you cannot be in a passion and reject ideas and reject possibilities that come along the way. See, so the key is to really trust the process, maintain on that passion level, and just move on. And that's basically what you did. You just left. Said, okay, I'm out of here.
And
you could have thought about it. You could have said that wasn't fair. That wasn't right.
She projected everything about her husband onto me.
Well,
so now I'm going to kill you.
There you go.
And there's the killing of the messenger also.
Yeah.
The one who brings the message,
Right.
which we find in our work very much.
Often.
Also, people come to you and they say, can you stop my husband from beating me? Can you stop this person from stealing?
The thing is, I heard more than once in my life, can I show you a picture of my husband and can you see a sudden death around him or something that might happen to him? It's shocking how much these people want, also with wives, by the way, it's not gender specific, but it's shocking how much these people desire to get out of these relationships, but they attract the rejection of the situation and say basically, can't he just drop dead? Or can't he just find somebody else or be run over by a bus or something, It's really amazing and shocking how high spiritual people who go to ashrams for 30 years, insinuate the situation, sometimes blatantly just ask for it, and would pay very well, you know what I mean? The Chanel costs, but not for that price.
We're often there when somebody wants to leave their husband or the husband wants to leave his wife for whatever reasons. We figure out what's actually going on. We might actually say it to the person, they're cheating on you and whatever's really nefarious behavior is going on. And then they wake up and then they realize why they feel that the way they are and they're not crazy. And, this is actually what's going on secretively in their lives, the secret life, the double life of people.
Yeah.
And then people come to us, can you be there with us, because they're not going to acknowledge the man or the woman that they're leaving.
Yeah.
They're going to make it all about them and they should get nothing.
I think in general, in all these situations where you're confronted with a form of an end to some degree, instead of, giving into it, rediscover who you are and what makes you passionate about life. I know that many people find their passion in their relationships. They find their passion with their children, but this is not really passion. This is more responsibility.
No, it's not.
And
not
a connection. And to really find yourself means to find the passion itself and to identify it. And every single day, do something to maintain that passion, to either reaffirm it, to either work with it. I always say to my students, when you practice something, do it for 40 days at least. I just released the new hypnosis CDs on my Bandcamp page,
Wonderful.
please, in English and in German for those who speak German. And I always recommend, please treat it like a remedy and listen to it every day for 40 days, 2 weeks break, again 40 days, 2 weeks break, again 40 days. It's just something that you do for your mental health to anchor the passion point of what you want to achieve.
Because you see a lot of people on Twitter and they talk about biohacking in a state of delta, because that's how you can manifest. They always say, well, billionaires manifest in a state of delta, they do it naturally, and that's why they can get exactly what they want. But that is what you're doing in hypnosis.
Yeah.
You're actually biohacking, and this is a high level of biohacking without spending thousands and thousands of dollars going to all the different experts and
not necessary.
neurologists and
Yeah.
different people who create neural pathways, whatever. We do that anyway,
Yeah.
without all that money.
Yeah,
But
because
again,
it's really a part of your natural makeup.
It is.
It's just there.
but it's been revealed, and now it's quite a scientific procedure, and you can spend a
Right.
fortune on it.
Absolutely.
While you can do this other ways, and yes, people do help you. They do get you to that place of being in a delta brainwave state and being able to
Getting there is not the problem.
maintain.
Maintaining it. I think I will not live long enough to say this. People are all the time in a state of alignment. They don't stay in it. You see, they think just reaching that point is enough. No, it's not. You have to maintain and anchor that state of mind, that state of emotion, rather. You see.
So to heal yourself, we talk about positivity for healing. What do you actually do? Because, you've been through cancer, you've been through ulcers, you've been through all sorts of things. How do you heal yourself?
Exactly the same way. I try to find an anchor, a higher motivation for a reason to still physically fulfill my purpose here. That is the idea.
You want to define your purpose? What you're
I
doing
don't
now
need
to heal
I don't-
yourself?
My purpose is much more complicated, and I don't want to go into details, and I'm living a great deal out of it. But the idea is also sometimes because
There's a lot of
one reason why it took so long to keep this podcast alive is we've been through a long tour, and I came back sick basically, quite exhausted, and now I'm in repair modus basically. So, but again,
Because we went to
and
Egypt
this is
twice, and then we went to Japan, and we did
it
so
was-
much,
it
and
was
all of
a lot.
Europe.
It was a lot, and it was also a very tight schedule. And so when we came back, I just realized I don't feel healthy anymore. And then I just went into it. You see, I acknowledged what it was, and I just went into it because I was just tired or exhausted. So I know what happens when you align with something, because then it has to manifest to some degree. But again, a re-anchoring, strategically positioning yourself in a place of passion is a key
To healing.
to healing. Healing
It's
is
just on the physical body, too.
Healing is just a side effect, and the physical healing is also just a side effect. It is all a side effect of with what vibration do I align, and is the maintenance element. And so I allowed myself, for quite some time to rest and do nothing and just do things that I want to do, and waited until my energy levels were up again to a place where, I feel good enough again about it. So
For me, that was always a vision quest. You left life, you went away, you made a circle around yourself, and you stayed there.
yeah,
No matter how long it took. And you don't know the time, you get outside of time. And then you have to also face your own subconscious mind.
right.
Because in one of my vision quests, the idea was a demon and an angel, these ridiculous terms from Christians, all the different religions all have these terms. When you start to see them, that they work together, that they're not opposed to each other,
Right.
that they help each other on different levels.
That
different
is such an
dimensional
important thing, again, if you're entering any field with these terminologies,
Right.
angels, demons, gods, goddesses, religions, any division is man-made. There is no such thing as angels and demons. There is only supportive, light intelligence.
And I also learned in those vision quests, the people that I had met, even before I met them, that there was this kind of realization you would have about them. In my own naivete, I wouldn't see perhaps their mental illness. I wouldn't see, where they're off. Or I wouldn't see the one thing that they need in their lives as an artist, like they needed money or whatever it is. And I always blamed myself in vision quests. And then in the vision quest, I would face my own subconscious shadows. And once you face these shadows, and sometimes it's too much, it is very much like being on hallucinogens, I have to say at some point. Because you're stripping yourself down when you don't have any water, anything in your body. I did very severe vision quests. I did one just hanging off a cliff, with ropes. What happened in those vision quests finally was this idea of how you heal your body, how you transform your mind, how you find your actual passion, what am I here to do? You get back on track, you kind of get rid of everything else that is distracting you in your life. And, and you also are in nature and you have a relationship with nature, which is right in front of you. And they open up different subconscious things in you as well, because you face, your own darkness, basically. You face your own temptations. You face your own shadows. And then once you have surpassed that, when you've gone past it, that's the end of the vision quest, of course, you've broken through. And that could be something quite crazy. I mean, you are, in a sense, kind of going mad for a while. And then it's a reset. You've resetted back to spirit. You've resetted yourself back to balance. And then it's over. And I never wanted to talk about it. I never wanted to say anything afterward. I want to look in a fire afterwards. I want just the elemental life after that. And I put the circles of the elements around me, protected myself, and went forward, back into life, back into everything, and not listening to what everybody was saying about me, not listening to all their dramas and things. I did a complete reset. I just wanted to be clear. Whatever comes through me is what comes through. And
to trust it.
And trust it.
And
that's all.
And go with the flow.
Yes. Even in dreams. Because all dreams changed, because it became a much more fluid reality. And then you were waking up in dreams, and I was meeting people in dreams. And then we were doing things on the earth in dreams, and people taking photographs of that. They were taking photographs of us while we were doing things on earth in a dream. And for them it was real. And then came, of course...
This is dimensional realities.
And it was
dimensional realities.
And it was a voluntary death. I wanted to die to my old self. I wanted to die to those old patterns in my character. And in that moment of its own death, you knew it. You saw it there. And mine was all about passion, because I had a beautiful white wild horse who came in my vision quest with a giant erection, also the horse. And, every day would come and I would touch the horse and hold the horse in a vision quest, something I didn't expect. And I learned a great deal about not just power animals, but the animals around us and how we interact with them, and how they know our real heart, and how they help us and guide us so much in our lives. That white horse that nobody could ride, that nobody could get near, was my best friend in a vision quest, who let me touch it, and the stud of all the horses. And it's a white horse. It's quite extraordinary story. But it touched me. I would say the horse touched me more than anything. The one that actually came to the circle. For some of my friends, of course, it was a snake, or it was a rat even. But again, they had an experience with an animal. But that reset, that facing of your shadows, whatever, kept me healthy all my life. Like I never left it. It was a timeless moment.
I think it's necessary, and I think breakdowns are resets. Timeless, uncomfortable as they are, I think they're necessary, and also how important it is to, when you spend time with somebody, to be in some shape or form in an alignment of the opposite of rejection, which is acceptance. I think that acceptance, not love, not passion, not sex, I think that acceptance in a relationship, any relationship, is the most important key.
With no judgment.
With
You,
no-
you
yeah,
slowly,
that's the
slowly
idea, that's the
open
idea.
your third eye with no judgment.
That's the
Neither
idea.
right nor wrong.
You know?
Neither demon nor angel.
Because again, there
Oh.
is no past and no future. There are infinite possibilities of what can happen. And that's why when I give my readings, I focus much more on the potential that is there rather than, well, you're miserable, so the next 5 years are going to be miserable until you are fed up with it, and then you're going to start doing something, you see, which is quite common, by the way, which is also fine if it's your path. But we teach, of course, and we focus very often on processes that we could that you can do at home. And I think one process that I would like you to reconsider is the process of affirmation, because we always say, an affirmation or a petition should be written from the I am perspective, but also we have 7 different consciousness in our system, and the I am consciousness is the
First chakra.
the first chakra, the root chakra. So when we say, I am rich, I am healthy, I am this, I am that, we're just defining one element of 7, which is the root. And that's it. And that's just not enough to manifest a vibration that will carry you as an anchor to the next dimensional shift, so to speak. And that's what I do in my hypnosis. I do the hypnotic empowerment. I do the solfeggio frequency that is connected with the empowerment, and I guide, after the hypnosis, I guide into the dimensional shifting technique to make sure not only you're leaving the place after a session, but you're moving forward into a trajectory where you're crossing the boundary of just the first chakra. The I am what I am means I just physically, I am what I am
Look,
here.
Here we do. We live in Las Vegas, where all these people are gambling, basically, and it's like playing the lottery. Now the lottery is $1 billion, whatever. And you say, I am the winner of the lottery. I am, the grand jackpot winner. You try to make it even more clear.
Right.
But then you get to the second chakra. Do you feel it?
Well, it's not enough to just be. Then
Feel it.
I feel it. So basically,
Feel I'm a
if you
winner.
if you take the word victory, I am a winner, and then I feel
Like a winner.
like a winner.
I feel I'm a
And then the solar plexus would be I do, which is I act like a winner. Already there, most give up.
Yeah.
You see, but
They
I don't have
contradict
it.
You
I don't get
contradict
it.
yeah.
That already
But I'm
is
poor.
how far. Yeah, but this is exactly where it goes.
You
so
saw that.
the first one is I am. The second is I feel,
I feel the winner.
and the third is I do, which is I act upon.
I act upon it.
The heart chakra is the same subject. I love.
I love. Meaning I'm going to be very
I
generous. with
love
money.
being a victorious. I love
love-
winning. I love gambling. I love
I love
money.
the
I
philosophy.
love playing. I love success. I love health. I love relationships. I love love. I love to be in love. I love to be loved. I
Right.
tell you, if most people will collapse either at the solar plexus or at the heart, because there are so many programs that accompany us from childhood. Money is bad, success are greedy,
Poverty is spiritual.
you can't have it all, poverty is spiritual, exactly, that
Blah, blah, blah.
nonsense, that nonsense. And so you go from these statements to I love, and then to the throat chakra, which is I speak. You have to express it. You have to confirm it, which means at least don't say the opposite. I don't have cash. I feel sick. I don't feel so well. You see, I would never disclose anything like this if it would go on in my life and it would be serious, because I would multiply it to the consciousness. So you want to make sure that you say, I'm well, I'm good, I'm healthy,
I love.
I love,
I
I'm
say.
well. You speak. What formulations do you choose and use?
And then you see it.
The third eye is I see. And I see means you have to visualize it. You have to find evidence for it. You have to go, in Vegas, you go to the casino, and as
You play
much
the
as
lottery or
I'm not a casino person,
No, none of us.
but I'm very fascinated when I see the focus and the passion people can have when they're in front of a machine and there is an opportunity of winning something. I could ask people to focus for 2 minutes on something in a meditation, they will move 20,000 times. Put them in front of a table or a poker, and you can't imagine how glued they are to these two little dices. It's incredible to
And
me.
we know many people who work in casinos, because they come for sessions.
The conversations. But the idea is that if I want to see evidence of wealth, I just go to the strip. I just go to the strip. And also I see articles. The articles are that I think a hotel like the Wynn makes $4 million a day to be sustainable. I see evidence of wealth. I see evidence of winning, of victory, you see. And I know somebody who used to live here, and he said, I always would go to the casinos and just be around people who won and feel and harvest their excitement. You see, because once they won,
Wow.
they wanted to win again, and then they lost everything.
Yeah.
But he said, I harvested the energy of winning, of the desire, of the fun of playing, and not being bothered by losing, interesting enough. Because, that is the game, the sort of the game, right? And in the end, you come to the crown chakra, which is I understand. You see, and that is the key point, is to understand all the chakra understanding of one desire. I am, I feel, I act, I love, I speak, I see, and I understand the larger picture
Of worthiness.
of value, of empowerment,
Empowerment.
of empowerment, because the biggest understanding is that you are an unlimited being, infinite in your potential, infinite in your trajectory, but you have to plant the seed of your desire in each chakra and define it in your petitions or define it in your manifestations in such a way that every chakra is stimulated, and therefore the aura translates these seeds into vibrational matching points.
Exactly.
Therefore, you have to experience what you're planting. For me, a chakra is basically a pot with flowers. It's like soil, and what you plant in, that seed must come forth. But if you just plant it into I am, you might experience something, but it will not be the full understanding. And I think
All 7 levels.
Exactly, and to anchor something, to really make it a part of your being, basically, I think you need to plant these elements in the whole sequence.
We were in Japan, and we were in this Shinto temple, and we took it's like a little stick you take out of a thing that you shake up,
Right.
and you do a divination, like, how will my year be? That's what we asked.
Right.
And it came out so negative, really negative.
Mm-hmm.
And I got very pissed off at this Shinto. So I paid a priest to do a ceremony for us to change this.
Right.
And I had to do the ceremony, and then we did it again. We did it a second time in a different temple, and I kept picking this thing out until it came out positive.
Yeah.
Because I said, I'm not going to let this divination determine my life
Right. Or my vibration.
or my vibration.
Absolutely.
I'm going to shift this. And then we bought something that's supposed to be lucky, whatever. It broke immediately,
Mm-hmm.
and then lots of things happened. But we persisted.
Right.
To the point where, no, I am lucky.
Right.
I live in Las Vegas. I am lucky. I'm here to learn what luck is.
Right.
I'm here to learn what chance is. I'm here to learn it on 7 levels,
Right.
which is what we just talked about.
Right.
Because people always ask, why did you move to Las Vegas? Because that's the teaching here. Chance and luck and that life.
And we also have a better life.
We do.
We have a much, much better life. It got better. LA was great, and everybody
Different
stays.
lesson.
Different lesson. And when it was time to leave, we came here, and I thought it would be a much more smaller life, but it's bigger. It's much bigger. It's much more straightforward, I have to say, and
For me, the largest life was we did a ritual with Hecate. And while we were in the circle, invoking Hecate, this also happened in Slovenia, it happened in Poland, happened in many places. But when we got it right, and there Hecate comes, there's only pure space. Meaning there's nothing below us, nothing on either side, nothing above us. And we are in a kind of black on black on black world where you're in the universe, there's not even stars moving around you, you're just in a beautiful void with her.
Yeah.
And then she comes. and you feel her not as just an embodiment, though you like to photograph her. She came purely as everything.
Everything.
All at once, all dimensions.
Right.
And you're standing there and you feel safe.
Right.
So that to me was the revelation. Of course, you get hooked on that. You want to do as many rituals as possible. But Hecate, in that moment with us...
She's a big transformer, I have to say. She's a big
transformed us.
transformer. And also Hecate represents, from a divine point, the identity of the divine that says, I promise, if you call me, I come. If you believed in me and forgot about me, if you're first time, if you're just curious, if you call me, I am showing up. And this is also, it's something interesting, because when I call upon Hecate, something always will happen with air or wind. This is how she responds. In the middle of nowhere, there will be, I mean, there's like 5,000 degrees here. There's no wind here at the moment. We are boiling with the weather, like I think most of the country, most of Europe.
Belial did that with me, yes.
There is this
wind
coming up of wind suddenly, and it's not just wind. It has a certain pattern, like a Morse code, if you want, that flows around you, and it just engulfs you. Only for that moment. It's a synchronicity, so to speak, that says, I got you, I heard you.
Like a DNA.
You know, that's the idea.
Twisted.
And I think all that is, and that what Hecate represents, is a reset button of our spiritual DNA systems. You know?
But I loved it. Nothing beneath us, nothing in the sides, nothing above.
Yeah.
And it happened many times in many rituals with many people.
Yeah.
And then finally, because we've done other rituals with different spirits, you meet Mercury spirits or you meet different spirits, it's not quite the same.
No.
I know you did a ritual in which you disappeared and no one could see you, and you walked into the other dimension on all levels. And that was filmed, whatever. But for me, I don't know if I'm disappearing, because I don't know. I don't have an audience or anything. It's just me and the spirits, and they're all very different, and you meet them, and you know, it's quite a thing. And you sometimes go to their world, which is quite amazing. You walk through a door, an elemental door or something.
The thing is that their world and our world, there's no difference.
No.
It's the same place, just a variation of degree. You know, I think when we should stop thinking about over there and here. It's all here at the same time. You know, there's also, I want to, you know, before we come to an end here, but I want to tell you that there's nothing to attract, by the way, you know, because I studied the Hermetic Gnosis so carefully, and in original languages and in translations, and excavated each page of what I could get my hands on. And the thing is that the law of attraction, or the law of the Hermetic laws, are not laws about something out there.
No.
There is nothing to attract, because if it's true that everything is at the same time, everywhere, simultaneously, there's nothing to attract. It's all already at the same place, and you just vibrate into that state of understanding, or into that state of being. But it's not going somewhere or getting something or manifestation, some colossal undertaking. It's not at all. And so the Hermetic tablets that I've studied and I've seen and was allowed and privileged to actually get my hands on, they don't speak necessarily about this division, but the so-called law of attraction is rather a law of acknowledgement that everything is one, and oneness is in the first Hermetic law. All is one. The all is mind. All is one element, and therefore I always say it's so important in your shadow work, which I think is crucial for success, is to really understand your shadows, is to understand what is your belief. Because your belief determines how and if you enter this shifting state of condition of the infinite possibility that is here at the same time, at the same state. The glass of water, you just heat it up, it evaporates, but it didn't go anywhere. The water is still in the room. It just has become a lighter consistency.
Or the time I was in a medicine wheel, and we were doing all the different directions. Finally, when we got to the center, everything around dissolves.
Yeah.
everything is infinity in that moment.
Yeah.
You're in spirit in infinity, and you know, and it's all within you also interacting. And then if we talk about it in terms of our earlier experience of the lottery or whatever, I mean, we make fun that I won the lottery anyway because I met you, and all these incredible things happens. That's a great lottery win. But anyway, the real lottery, the other lottery, the outside lottery, you often have a block to that.
Yeah.
You often say, no, you gotta work hard, you gotta achieve it yourself. You can't just be given anything, don't trust if somebody gives you something.
Right.
You have that.
Absolutely.
But why can't, in this alignment, one with everything, that in these dimensions, some of them, you have one?
Yeah. You make that shift by shifting your belief, by allowing your belief the possibility of an opposition or an extension. You immediately, through the allowance, tap into the vibrational reality that is in that moment in alignment with that shift of belief.
Because the Golden Dawn tried to do that with the lottery, and it didn't work out for them. They got into car accidents in which they made money.
The idea of lottery is also such a gray zone, I have to say, because it has a lot to do with less with the lottery itself, but the people who win are teachers for a certain lesson. Yes. Because they represent the possibilities. So now we have more and more higher lottery jackpots. Now we have also more and more winning options. So when you go to a casino and you see people winning, more and more people will win. And so more and more. In other words, lottery winner initiate the winning for everybody. Well, if she can win it, I can win it. If they can do it, I can do it. And this is how you shift into the energy field of a winner to become a winner.
And that's what
you have to be with winners to become a winner. Same attracts the same.
We had a client who came to us who won the lottery.
Right.
He got the numbers in his dreams from his mother, his deceased mother.
Right.
And that started me actually playing.
Yeah.
And then one day I wrote down all these numbers and from my dream, but I didn't play the lottery or anything, because I wasn't really interested in the lottery. And then I realized this is the numbers for the next day. It actually did win.
Yeah.
Now to pick which lottery those numbers were, I had to figure out all the lotteries and I say, okay,
right,
these were the actual numbers. Right. So I know that it's possible.
Oh yeah. You just have to program it. You just have to program. Jose Silva had a secretary. She's very famous because she was the lady who won every prize she played. She never worked for something, but she learned in Silver Mind to train her mind to believe that she wins everything. And she not only was a winner, but she could feel like a winner. She acted like a winner. She went really out to fill out every puzzle, every crossword, every scratch ticket, all these, and she would win. And she has a whole story about it that she says, no, it's normal for me to win. That winning becomes a normality, that victory becomes a normality, that healing becomes a normality. And so she says, I play and I expect something to win, you see. And she is out of that pioneering field of Jose Silva, of Georg Lohmer, of the pioneers of the first thinking that mind over matter and thought and feeling changes reality.
And we went out to dinner the other day to a very beautiful restaurant for our birthdays. And they put us in a special room and there were some people there and other people were celebrating as well. But when they found out that it was our 20th wedding anniversary, that it was our birthdays as well, people really shifted. They really changed. They really opened. They were like, we welcome you here. We welcome you to this dinner, to these riches, to this incredible, it was like incredible food. Really incredible. But it was the feeling of, you belong here.
Being appreciated. Because we appreciated also the stuff. You see, what Foster does, interesting enough, is, which I found always odd, but I think it makes sense, is he looks people in the eyes.
Yeah.
The waiter, he will order and look him in the eyes and say thank you by looking in the eyes. Usually I'm on the phone, I'm like, thanks, because I'm so busy with something, but he looks them in the eyes. And I think people feel and sense and acknowledge that this is a person who sees me. And I think when people feel seen, they respond in a much better version to you.
Because I may never see them again, and
Yeah.
I don't want to miss that moment.
Yeah.
No one's a stranger, really.
Yeah. And that is a nice exercise in magic, is to acknowledge the noise. Because you see everybody, then you go through your day and you can't remember everybody you saw on the street. You can't remember everybody. There are background noises of different dimensions. Technically, no one's there. Okay? You're not with 80 million people in New York City. You are alone in New York City, but there are so many 80 million vibrations that you share the space with, but they become background noise, and I become background noise to you or to somebody else.
To me, never, really.
Well,
Never.
I can.
Never.
But
I'm in, thinking about you all day.
I think we're too long already.
Yeah,
together.
no, that's okay.
But the idea is, you understand, is that everybody is a vibration and a vibrational earth. They're not all in the same New York City, in the same Berlin, in the same village, in the same country,
No.
on the same continent. They are always in their vibrational variation or understanding.
Because sometimes you are talking to somebody, they are on a different earth.
Mm-hmm.
They're not in your vibration at all, but they're the waiter. Or there's somebody sitting in the next table.
Right.
And
You share a vibration.
you
in that
share a
moment.
vibration. And it's fantastic to acknowledge
Mm-hmm.
that. So even when I'm looking at somebody and I'm looking right in their eye, whatever, we're kind of bringing the different earths together in that moment. And that meeting, I tend to celebrate.
Yeah.
And people, when they realize that, how kind you are to them or whatever, and you make them laugh, because
You talk to them.
people are in dreary jobs, let's be
Yeah.
honest.
Yeah.
You kind of want to shake up their day and, make their day. They become incredibly generous.
Yeah.
Like people bring twice as much food, or
Right.
they just start
Another
opening up to you about
another
everything.
cake,
Yeah.
Another, I already had the button open on my pants, but, but this is what
That openness.
this is what deliberate kindness does. Deliberate kindness is to acknowledge that the person who is with you is not just noise,
No.
but it is a vibrational reaction at this moment. You have an exchange, and you will influence the exchange. Through the exchange, you will influence the person's earth. You never change your world. We will never change this world. We change our world, our inner world, our perception of the world. And so the key is to know that when you go to bed and you choose to say, I choose to wake up in a dimensional reality that fits the best with my success, with my belief, with my faith, with my understanding, no matter what it is. And to know that when you wake up, you acknowledge it. I am waking up. I am awake in this new timeline, dimensional reality, if you want to call it. And then you are. But if you do this on a regular basis, you see, it costs nothing. It takes 1 second. You will perpetually maintain in a trajectory of expansion, which always will attract and expand towards the positive building qualities.
Or the tire blew up on my car, and I, in that moment, felt the intuition. Just get off the highway, go off this exit now, go right. You just, all of a sudden, everything comes into play, and you're in alignment, because got to fix this tire.
Right.
I can't go very far. And then when I went to some gas station, the gas station attendant looked at me, and he was very generous, he was very nice, doing the air in the tire, and he showed me, your tire is flat, and it's broken, you probably hit a nail. So then he said, well, right across the street is, Discount Tire. So I just drove over there, and, I got my little number, there were a lot of people there, and when I got to the front and he looked at me, and I said, listen, my tire's broken, they hear that every day, everybody had a broken tire there. And I said, well, I'd like to pay right now. I'd like to pay before we do it. Even if you don't have the money, it doesn't matter. You put on a credit card, but I want to do it. I don't want to make any fuss for you, and I want to keep saying thank you for fixing my tire. My tire done in 55 minutes. Just the flow of it all. I'm not going to make any drama or anything. I'm not panicking.
Right.
I'm actually looking you straight in the eye. Thank you.
And that is shadow work, is to acknowledge and to observe how you are responding in a situation, because that consciousness is choice. I can go yell and scream, or I can stay cool, calm, and collected and acknowledge I have choice how I want to respond in this moment. And again, that is how you serve the dimensional experiences.
And I did play the lottery.
Of course.
Five times altogether since I've been here.
Yeah.
I won $5, $4, $3, $2, and then $1. So
Right.
it got to be kind of funny.
So you're winning.
And each time the ticket says, you're a winner.
Right.
When you put it in, it says, you're a winner.
Right.
So I'm learning to explain to my guides, no, I think the big one. Not 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
But
it is funny.
This is how you build the I see.
I see.
See, and now you understand, and the understanding is the gathering of the informations of all the chakra seeds that come together and say, now I understand why I did the journey. In Kabbalah, when we do my training, and it takes 10 months, I think one of the hardest, and this is where most people really don't even make it, but some who made it, they go to this place where they have to confront their own shadow, and this is Binah, and Binah means I understand. I understand why I started the journey. I understand why I'm here. I understand who I am. I understand why I chose, why I do, what I see, how I feel. It's really a big month. It takes, I think, 8 months to get to that point. And only when you master and you go through this dark night of the soul and you confront your inner shadow and you say, I understand that.
A vision quest, yeah.
Now, that is a vision quest. Now I shift into the path of all possibilities. We enter Chokmah, which is for me all the Neptunian qualities. Everything is possible.
Co-creating life.
Everything is possible. And through all possibility you enter Keter, which is the being
Itself.
Hecate. No separation. You are
all things.
All things, all at one, all mind, exactly.
And that's where we want to go. If we're going to open up wormholes in science and people are going to travel through wormholes, what are we going to bring through? The atomic bomb?
Right.
Are we going to bring through, all our little infighting and all our revenges and all sorts of crazy ideas about extraterrestrials? Or are we going to go through with an open mind, with a direction inside of us of something positive, with passion as a scientist?
Yeah. Guys, look for your passion. And hold on for dear life if you find it, because it's not so easy these days. But we want to leave you with this podcast. And before I forget it, because again I forgot, like, subscribe, and share, please.
And look, I'm passionate about you. Everything you do, everything you say.
God,
I'm passionate about.
No
matter what.
I'm very passionate about us.
Yes.
I'm very passionate about us. So
it's worth living for. It's worth healing for.
Yeah, definitely. So guys, we wish you all the best, a great time. We promise not too much, but we try to keep this up again.
Yes, because we're home. We're going
to do a couple of those. And you see, we are always inspired by what goes on in the world. And
for us, it's all a resurrection.
It's all,
We finished the vision quest and we're reborn.
Right. So we wish you all the best. Have a great time. Be kind to another, and most important, be kind to yourselves.
And look the waiter in the eye. Look people in the eye.
And look people in the eye. Acknowledge them. Thank you so much for being with us. And we see you next time. Take care until then. Until we meet again, okay?
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.